All right, let's get into this. We're going to deconstruct a modern ghost story that all takes place on a dark, foggy highway. And we're not just going to retell it. Oh no. We are going to break down exactly how it works, how it masterfully builds suspense, and turns a totally normal family road trip into an absolute nightmare.
Right from the get go, the story asks you to look at something as simple as the weather and think again. It plants this little seed of doubt, you know? It's suggesting that maybe, just maybe, what we can't see is way more important than what we can. So, first up, let's meet our main characters. And this is important. These aren't professional ghost hunters or anything like that. It's just a regular, relatable family. And honestly, that's what makes everything that happens next so much more terrifying. Now, what's so interesting here is just how incredibly normal they are. You've got Ravi and Anjali, two working parents, and their kids, Pihu and Shintu, who are just excited for their winter vacation. Setting up this happy, ordinary world is such a classic and effective move. It's designed to make us connect with them, to see ourselves in their shoes. So the kids managed to convince their mom, Anjali, to take them on a trip to their grandparents' village, Rewari, which is about 100 kilometers away. The dad, Ravi, is cool with it, but then he drops this crucial little piece of foreshadowing. He mentions that the Delhi-Jaipur highway is supposedly haunted. Anjali, being confident and independent, just blows it off. During their visit, the grandmother tells the kids a ghost story. And this is just brilliant storytelling. It's a story within a story, and it's meant to prime us, the audience. This spooky tale about a kid's ghost in a tree isn't just some random scary story. It's literally setting a trap that's going to spring on them later. Okay, so after a great vacation, Anjali and the kids start the drive back to Delhi. They head out in the afternoon, but as evening starts to creep in, so does the weather. That dreaded fog starts to roll in, wrapping the entire highway up like a shroud. You can feel the tension ratcheting up, and it all starts with a simple, totally believable problem: a flat tire. That single delay is the catalyst for everything. It pushes their trip into the dark and, even more importantly, deep into that fog. The car's heater makes them feel safe and warm, but it's just a false sense of security against what's really happening outside. So let's see how this builds into real horror. This is the point where the story shifts from being just inconvenient to being completely unexplainable. Anjali is driving slow, being super cautious, and that's when the first weird thing appears. Anjali carefully drives around it. Yeah, it's a strange thing to see, but you could probably explain it, right? But then just a couple minutes later, this is the first major psychological blow. The impossible happens. And get this, both Anjali and her daughter Pihu see it, which confirms it's not just a trick of her mind. The really crucial thing here is that the threat isn't just some random thing anymore. It feels intelligent. It feels like it's messing with them. The encounters just keep escalating. Now it's not just an object, it's a person, or at least something that looks like one. It appears and then vanishes in an instant, totally defying logic. Anjali tries to reassure her kids, tells them it's just a reflection, but you know she's terrified. She knows something is terribly, terribly wrong. And this is the moment the threat breaks through their defenses. The horror is no longer outside. It is inside the car with them. That handprint is proof that the barrier between their safe little world and whatever this thing is has been completely shattered. This is the climax of the whole haunting sequence. The radio, something that should be a comfort, turns against them. It spits out this direct, horrifying prophecy. The buttons are dead. She can't turn it off. They are absolutely trapped. And as this is happening, Anjali sees the headlights of a huge truck hurtling right toward them through the fog. All that chaos just ends in an instant. The only sounds left are the hiss of the engine and the quiet sobs of her children. The physical world comes crashing back in, and it leaves us in this moment of just pure, terrifying silence. The next scene is a complete shift. We're in the sterile, beeping world of a hospital. Anjali and the kids have survived the crash, but this story is not over. Not by a long shot. The true horror really starts to settle in after the accident. And here it is. The final, chilling twist. The official evidence completely invalidates her entire experience. It isolates her with this terrible truth that nobody else can verify. The horror wasn't just on that road. It's now a permanent memory, a story that's going to haunt her for the rest of her life. This leads to a pretty fascinating detail about how we consume stories like this. The original creator mentioned that 98% of their viewers aren't subscribed. It's kind of a weird parallel, isn't it? For every one person like Anjali who's forever changed by something like this, there are millions of us who hear the story from a safe distance, and then we just move on. So, what are you supposed to take away from this? Well, the story ends by turning the camera back on us, on the viewer. It takes this one specific, terrifying event and makes it universal, asking us to think about our own journeys on our own lonely roads. It suggests these untold stories are everywhere, just waiting for the right conditions, like a thick blanket of fog, to be revealed. So the final question it leaves us with isn't what happened to Anjali, but what might happen to us.